and Chiellini. Spain also keeping a pretty tight ship, but that's more so due to the fact that they just don't give the ball away, and that denies the opponents the opportunity to score goals. So I can see it being quite a tight contest.
Yeah, I think it's a great point you make about Spain, sort of suffocating the opposition. It's probably the first time that Italy will experience that. Yes, they played Belgium, who were classed as the world's ranked #1 team, but they're not well known for totally dominating games. They have allowed others into a little patch of form, and Italy will have to try and break them down, have to dispossess them. They've gone with quite a competitive midfield for that, with Barella, Jorginho and Verratti. Verratti's been one of the players of the tournament so far for me, gone about his work nice and quietly, as Italy in possession inside their own half. A late challenge on Bonucci. I'll bring you the teams now in full. It is Donnarumma in goal for Italy. It's Emerson, Chiellini, Bonucci and Di Lorenzo. Midfield three of Verratti, Jorginho and Barella. It's Insigne, Immobile and Chiesa up front as a front three. We know that they'll drop back as makeshift wingers as well. And as for Spain, it is Simon, Azpilicueta, Garcia, Laborde and Alba. In midfield, it's Goge, Busquets and Pedri. Up front, it is Torres, Oyarzabal and Olmo. Bit of a disappointment to see Sarabia not able to play tonight in terms of the starting 11. He's been one of the picks of their players in recent weeks. But Italy now piling forward. It is with Emerson, who will try and ping the ball down the line towards Chiesa. It looked like he was potentially offside. He's rounded the keeper. Flag stays down for now into an attacking position. He's going to go for goal. Far corner. It's hit the post. It's a beautiful curling effort. And I think the flag has finally come up. It's the worst rule, surely, in the modern game at the moment in terms of allowing play to go on. It gets everyone excited. Everybody believes that he's onside. He's well off, Bobby. And they allow him to go all the way to goal, even stopped and stared before having a goal. I think it's Barella that's gone for goal. But yeah, we know the rule's a bit ridiculous, but in terms of the play, it was fantastic work from him.
Yeah, it was a good run. I think if that ball had gone earlier from Emerson, the opportunity would have been there for Barella, and he would have actually been able to take it in a better spot. He was offside, he had to stop, and then the ball wasn't great, and he still managed to get that shot away eventually and come off the woodwork. But that was far too easy for Italy to say. If the ball had been released earlier, just that late runner from midfield, no one had really tracked him, and if they click and get that timing right, Italy, then they'll carve Spain apart. So that's a very early warning sign for Luis Enrique's. Won't be too pleased with how simple that was for Italy.
Yeah, it's a fine observation. Just to look across, I was looking at the team notes, then just trying to see the formation, then looked up at Enrique, and he is rather passionate as the offside flag comes up a bit early this time to stop a latest Italy attack. And I think it was a point Bobby made in the first minute and a half about Spain dominating possession. I've been quite impressed by how Italy seemed to be really taking the game to them tonight, and I do wonder what that does to Spain. They haven't really played a team that I would say is better than them in terms of a starting 11. I know Croatia have got a good team, but I think every other side have been a bit inferior to Spain, and they've managed to outmuscle them and dominate them eventually over the 90 minutes. Here is Chiesa coming through midfield for Italy. He's stopped in his tracks, and actually Spain have managed to work a counter-attacking opportunity. For the first time, they can now stretch the Azzurri defence. On the left-hand side, they've got the ball, little switch inside, and it was looking for Olmo, and it couldn't find his run. It's interesting to see on the team sheet, Oyarzabal was down as the centre of the front three, but he's more of a winger. And looking there, I think it was Torres, Bobby, that was the man through the middle. But pace-wise, that was quite an alarming attack for Spain. Italy looked a little stretched.
Yeah, and I think that's one way you can get at this Italy side, isn't it? If there is some space in behind, then they're definitely vulnerable. We talk about Bonucci and Chiellini and how good they are, the two veteran defenders. They know each other's games inside out and know when one can go and the other can stay, and who's marking the communication is fantastic. But if you've got pace and they do just creep up the field and leave a bit of a gap in behind, that's when you can really take advantage with a nice ball and a little bit of pace to try and get in through on goal. But they don't often give you that opportunity. They read the game so well, despite the lack of mobility and pace that they've got. They're often in the right position to deal with danger.
Yeah, on the attack, Spain yet again down the left-hand side. It was Torres that was the first marker. First player towards the ball. He was marked tightly by Bonucci, who gets the ball away, and Chiesa tries to go down the right-hand side. He's full of running so far tonight, the Italian wide man. Often at his own downfall, though, kicking it a bit too far in front of himself on the last couple of occasions, but great to see so much spirit about his play. Spain for the first time get a little breather on the ball in midfield and try and bring it into a decent attacking position. It was Pedri that was trying to dictate there. Now it's with Laporte at left centre half. Alba, good ball through the middle of midfield, like threading it through a gap. And again, they're under pressure, Spain, though, and very intense bit of work that from Italy's midfield, because straight away they managed to create half a chance out of nothing just by quite simply turning up the heat defensively. Now putting Azpilicueta under pressure. The block comes in, his clearance is turned the wrong way, and a second time of asking, Garcia hooks it wide. That should be an Italian throw, and very effective that, Bobby. Just a simple run up, I think it was from actually Insigne that turned the tide back in Italy's favour, and all from that they've got a throw.
Yeah, I think we said it from the start, didn't we? Both sides like to enjoy possession, and it's good to see that both teams as well, without the ball, are looking to press, that they're trying to win the ball high up the field. They're not just sitting back into a shape and allowing the opposition to settle into a rhythm and creep up the field. Both teams are getting forwards, trying to close down and force a mistake, and we've seen both sides give away possession because of that. I think it's one of the big advantages as neutrals of the semi-finals and final being played at Wembley, that we've seen some games in the competition across in Europe on the mainland of Europe where it's been really hot and teams haven't been able to play at a high tempo throughout with the pressing game, but at Wembley it could have been played in Budapest at one point. That was the talk, and you feel in 30 degree heat we might not see this type of running, but at Wembley there'll be lots of endeavour, lots of effort, and they should be able to sustain it throughout. Yeah,
that'd be fingers crossed. Of course, it could be potentially a long night. It's so much riding on this game that it could be decided by a mistake at the back from out of these two teams. Pressure, I'm sure, will get to them throughout the 90 minutes as Oyarzabal gets the ball on the left boot, kicks it inside. Here is Pedri, switches the play towards Alba, who's got one man behind him. He pings the ball in early, and Bonucci rather carefully just places his foot through the ball and clears the ball towards halfway. Busquets now in possession. Okay, wanted an advancing runner, didn't get one, but Spain keep the ball, and just slowly but surely they're starting to win a bit more of this ball in near the halfway line and try and put Italy on the back foot. Azpilicueta with Insigne trying to force him inside. He does that, but only Spain keeping the ball. Olmo, this front three of Spain's pretty much all false nines in a way. Can all mix it up a little bit, so for marking it's quite important for Italy. I'm sure those two stalwarts at centre half won't be going walkabouts too often. Here is Torres down the left hand side with Pedri. Spain looking confident on the ball. They get to it though, and Chiesa and Barella come across. It is Barella that gets there first, and he now manages to try and find a little bit of space to clear, but he's run straight back into trouble. He's having a nibble down the back of Torres' legs, and he's going to turn back towards halfway where Laporte, about 15 yards inside the half. Busquets switching one way then the other. Still 0-0 between Italy and Spain. Here is Spain again. It's a heavy touch. Verratti pounces, so does Chiesa again. But luckily for Spain, they get the ricochet and it goes the opposite direction. A couple of players in back play still struggling with injury for either side. As again, Spain get the ball back with Koke, switches it wide to Oyarzabal. He's got Olmo in the box. He goes to try and divert it across the face of goal towards Torres. Takes a wicked deflection and out of play. But now we're seeing what Spain can do in close quarters. I think tactically, Bobby, it's a great watch. I know we've yet to see either keeper make a save, but I'm just enjoying watching two high-quality teams go at it.
Yeah, it's the first time we've really seen either of the two teams have a sustained period of possession and some good pressure, and that came about because, having just said that neither team was sitting back and allowing the other to settle in, Italy went and did just that. They got back into a shape in their own half. They were looking to try and protect themselves, and I suppose it worked to a point, because although Spain had some decent possession and did creep forwards, they never quite managed to get inside the opposition box. That challenge came in just when it was required to keep them at bay. So Italy maybe just for a moment now allowing Spain to grow into this game, but when they do see those opportunities, that they're still trying to force the mistake.
Yeah, so far so good for Spain in this last little move. As Bobby was just giving us his thoughts, we'll give you an update of what we've seen so far once this attack comes to a close, and in fact they actually go all the way back towards Garcia at centre half. Still goalless between Italy and Spain, and the best chance of the game fell to Italy, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway. The offside flag denied Barea after a long bursting run through the middle of the park. He was picked out by Emerson, whose pass was well weighted, but it should have gone a little bit earlier. Barea managed to turn, keep his composure before hook the ball towards the far corner. It hit the post, but the flag eventually came up to deny him. Spain have since dominated possession in the last 3 or 4 minutes. They've managed to get down the flanks, and the front three has been really fluid as they try to evade this Italian defence. But so far, 0-0, but still an interesting match between the two sides.
Just seeing an instant here that saw Dani Olmo lose his boot as he tried to ride a tackle. He did manage to get possession away to his teammate and has just asked the referee now, as the ball has gone out into touch, to delay the restart momentarily as he puts his boot back on. And we are underway again with Italy taking the throw, but they've given away possession immediately. Spain in their all white now start to creep on forwards. That's a lovely ball into the box, miscontrolled by Oyarzabal, and Italy will be able to play their way out through Emerson and Insigne. Loose ball sees it recovered by Spain, and they'll have it back on the halfway line. That was the first time that Spain have really got into a meaningful area. I think Italy stepping out of defence had just gone that little bit too late and played Oyarzabal onside. The flag certainly didn't seem to go up. And now they're building again with Azpilicueta coming down. Familiar with his surroundings at Wembley. He's been here on more than a few occasions. Drops it back into defence. This time with the Bacelona.
The poor touch, because I think that's what everyone's mentioned as being Spain's Achilles heel. If they had a number 9 that's got some real qualities, would break off, because Bonucci has to do some defending, and I think it's going to be a goal kick, much to almost discuss. But if that touch is better from Oyarzabal, Bobby, he's one-on-one with the keeper. He's played in it. It was a great pass, wasn't it, through the middle of the park. 2 great balls, in all fairness to them. They've carved them open. He's onside as well. Emerson's slow to get up. And that touch, take it out of your stride. It's a decent first touch if you can make it. And then you've got a chance to shoot past Donnarumma in goal. But that, for me, is perhaps suggesting why he's not a number 9, is he, by trade? He's more of a winger. And it could potentially be the difference tonight. Yes, they've had lots of the ball. They've had it throughout the season. I was saying to you earlier before we came on air about they've dominated every underlying statistic all tournament in terms of, whether it be possession, advances, all the attacking stats. Spain are well and truly clear. They let themselves down, though, when it comes to that, the most important bit, which some of our members of our office that don't like the stats would say that it's irrelevant unless they can put the ball in the back of the net, which over the course of the tournament they have struggled with. Italy, though, give the ball away. Now a chance for Spain to attack. Torres, beautiful touch, goes for goal, right-footed. He's dragged it wide, but in terms of the close control from Ferran Torres, that was superb after a mistake in midfield from Barella, and eventually he managed to get away with it. But that's where Spain needs to be punishing them, for me, because they are going to be wasteful in front of goal, in front of the 6-yard box, the edge of the D, on the edge of the box. I'd like to think he should get it a little bit close. I'm not saying he has to score, Bobby, but he's not under immense amounts of pressure. He gets a full strike away there.
It's a poor shot, isn't it? He'd done really well initially. Great footwork from Torres, just sort of shuffled it from one foot to the other, bought himself that half yard, then he's got to pick his spot, and he just drills it low and hard and scuffs it wide of the goal, really. A lack of technique that was required and composure when he gets into that position in the final third. But I think, having felt the opening 5-6 minutes or so were quite even. Both sides had their little periods of possession and were creeping down the field without much end product. We've just seen maybe now the last sort of 8-9 minutes that it's Spain who are really getting a grip of proceedings.
Yeah, they are. They're coming forward again. They've managed to switch the ball wide. Ferran Torres has been played into a bit of a poorer position. It wasn't played in front of him. He had to go sideways to retrieve it. He now plays a 1-2 with Alba. That's not a bad idea. And Alba's got the arms up in the air, and a round of applause for his counterpart down the left-hand side, because he knew that pass was on. He's tried to go for it. He's tried to get his teammate into that area. Sadly for Spain, it wasn't to be, but we're just seeing a couple of the replays from the TV providers, a few flicks from Dani Olmo. You can see they're growing into this game. Just as Bobby mentioned a few moments ago, just how determined they've been. Last 6-7 minutes it has been. Spain, certainly through the middle, in fact, I've been quite surprised at the amount of room they've got in there with a 4-3-3 from Italy. That is an area that has surprised me as Chiellini goes long. I can't remember the last time an Italy pass forward went towards Ciro Immobile, Bobby, and it stuck to his feet.
No, they've just not been able to give him any service in this game so far, and you rightly point out the midfield battle at the moment is being won by Spain, isn't it? I think it's down to the fact that they're playing that false nine today. It means that one of the attackers is also dropping into that midfield. It's almost becoming a four at times and a bit of a diamond with Busquets at the bottom of it, Koke and Pedri then getting help from either Torres or Olmo that comes in to offer themselves up, so that they're getting that slight overload, and at the moment Italy just aren't managing to cope with it.
Well, not at the moment, but still lots of time to go. And they had to show real fight against Belgium, did Roberto Mancini's team, as Berea has just managed to combine a challenge with Busquets. I think was a card given for that challenge.
It looked as though the arm went up from the referee.
I was going to say, I think that was a bit of a dive, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd guess it was Busquets. I didn't actually see it shown to him. I just saw the referee put his arm up. Whether he was waving away appeals, I'm not too sure, but we'll wait for some confirmation of that.
Yeah, Busquets was the man that made the challenge, so we will get confirmation as soon as possible. Spain have got a very high line here. Italy try and dink the ball over the top. It's not the worst pass either, and off his line comes Simon, and he had to be quick there because that wasn't a bad ball into the box. Spain have tried to make it very difficult, which I think is great tactically. I know if the ball's in a different position later on in this game, Bobby, they can't do that high line, but it sort of takes out Chiellini and Bonucci's main threat, which is pure power. And now Spain on the attack again straight away. Italy do have a back four back in position though. A good block from Jorginho, but it only goes behind for a corner. And have been, again, quite alarmed by the pace of this Spain attack. Ferran Torres, the man that has led the charge so far down the left wing for Spain. A couple of Spain midfielders are making their way over to the corner flag. Busquets, Azpilicueta, Garcia, Laporte, and who's the next one? It's Olmo that's in the box for Spain. This, in theory, is where you'd think Italy win the tail of the tape in terms of set pieces. They've got the more experienced defenders, but what can Spain do here? Ball into the box. It's headed away by Bonucci. It's a good header as well. It's nearly going to make its way out for a throw on the far side of the pitch. And Italy will block off Pedri's route down the line and make him go backwards. And that's better from Italy, forcing the ball backward. They had a three-pronged attack, cutting off the space. And that's, I think, what you mentioned earlier, boy, about the lack of ball retention. You mentioned it was struggling to stick up front, but if it is going to struggle to stick, then at least trying to force it the other way, and that's a bit more of what we saw in the first 5 minutes.
It is. You've got to at least put the pressure on and try to win it back, whether that's by actually making a tackle or forcing someone under a bit of unwanted pressure so they make a rash decision and give possession away cheaply. Either will do really for Italy. They just need a little period for themselves, because we know they can keep possession, not as good as Spain. We made that point clear from the outset of what we've seen in the competition so far. Spain's ball retention is far superior, but they need to try and stop this onslaught, as it were. That there've not been those clear-cut chances just yet, but the longer that Spain go on with the ball, you feel that they might start to carve out some more openings that could become slightly more testing.
Yeah, Olmo has a quick pull of the shirt on Verratti, who has a little nibble down the back of the ankle as well. He might have to be careful here. The referee's actually pointed back to Olmo for where he gave away the original foul. The second one, I think, was actually worse than the first. He lost control of it, got a bit excited, just a simple pull on the shirt, but the second's a little bit more cynical, and he might have helped out Busquets, because he was the man that actually body-checked Verratti to the floor. So Italy get the free kick near halfway. Here is Chiellini, Emerson, the ball in towards Insigne. Now Emerson's on his way down the left-hand side. The keeper's come off his line. Simple ball inside to Immobile. Can he square it? Italy are queuing up at the far post. Barella, still they can't pull the trigger, and they've been let down. The keeper has really committed himself earlier. Challenge from behind from Verratti. Spain will get the free kick. And, well, I think you can hear Bobby's thoughts down the other side of the headset, because why on earth have they not moved that ball quicker? And first of all, well done to Emerson to get where he got to, but what a
work from Spain in the end. A real fine recovery, I think, to get their goalkeeper out of a real sticky situation when that ball came across to one way or the other, tried to lay it off into a teammate, and Barrea, he couldn't get the clean shot away either. It was Busquets and Azpilicueta who were in close quarters with him, so great work to sort themselves out eventually, but that was again far too easy for Italy. Like we said in the opening few minutes, when they just mistimed that pass through to Barella and he was offside. This time they were onside, a swift 1-2 between Insigne and Emerson, and they were in behind and big spaces there to expose. We said earlier that Spain haven't conceded much in this competition just because they haven't played top opposition. They haven't come up against a side that can hurt them, and they just dominate possession. But in parts today, when they have been forced into mistakes and given away possession, Italy are causing problems.
Yeah, that's I think one of the biggest talking points pre-game is just how good Spain have managed to get here. They've managed to show a bit of resilience as well in doing so. A game against Croatia in extra time, penalties. Their record in normal time with penalties is, from the last bit of research I did, is pretty embarrassing. But yet they then went and won the shootout, which makes even less sense that when the pressure's even more intense, they seem to stand up and be counted. But they've got a great record in this competition in recent years. So experience as a country is, I'm sure, a pretty relaxed one. They'll fancy their chances once they've got to this stage of the competition, that they'll know their coach is experienced as well. But the same can be said from the man in the opposite dugout as Italy come down this left-hand side with Verratti, Emerson, who's not looked out of sorts just yet, despite coming. Giorgino Chiellini, he's played a simple pass. Chiesa puts the thumbs up in response. Should maybe try and give his teammates a bit of a lift. Both managers on the edge of their technical area, desperate to give out instructions, and it stands still goalless. Spain and Italy can still not be separated on the scoreline at present, but we have had a chance of piece, should I say, at either end. The first one fell to Ferran Torres, who shot wide from the edge of the box, dragged it a little bit when he was looking for the far corner. Donnarumma just able to watch it past his post. Then the better chance in terms of momentum, Italy's first real opportunity, which of course the first one got disallowed for offside. This one was a quick counter-attack down the left-hand side. The ball played down the left. Emerson beat the keeper Simon to the ball, cut the ball inside to Immobile, who tried to play in Barella. Instead of shooting first time or trying to go with a second touch and a shot, he waited that split second, and Azpilicueta and Busquets got to him and managed to stop him in his tracks. So that's the chances so far. It's still Italy 0, Spain 0.
And here is Spain coming down the left-hand side now with Alba clipping it infield onto the chest of La Liga title winner Koke. The Atletico Madrid man helps it further wide to the Champions League winner Cesar Azpilicueta. Now Busquets, the skipper for Spain, he's muscled off the ball. He wanted the free kick, as did his compatriots, but referee Felix Brick was not feeling there was too much going there. Spain have recovered possession further back down the field, and now it's swung forwards and laid off in towards Ferran Torres, edge of the box. Oyarzabal and tries to flick it into the area, and it will bounce all the way through to Gianluigi Donnarumma, who just puts his hand up as if to urge a little bit of calm from his defenders. They've not been under a great deal of pressure and massively stretched, but I think he does just want to maybe slow the game down a little bit more and allow his players further down the field to get into a shape. They've given away possession again now, Italy, and Pedri will slide it into the box. Oyarzabal can't turn on it, and there's Olmo with the shot saved down to the right-hand side of Donnarumma. Again, and they look to come forward, but Verratti nicks it off the toes of Koke, and it's Italy's opportunity to try and break on the counter. Out on the right-hand side with Chiesa, and he will just slow it down and go back into his own half, but by far and away the best chance of the game there. Yeah, good reactions from the keeper. It was, of course, the first one was blocked a little bit, and a bit worrying for me again in that situation, how much joy Spain have got through the middle. I'd have thought their joy would have come in down the flanks and balls whipped across, but they seem to have managed to get a bit too much space for my liking from an Italian point of view, and eventually they had their keeper to bail them out. And there's a lot of players on one of the benches tonight going ballistic at something that's just happened in play, which I don't know what the problem is, but in fairness to Donnarumma, who made the save, it was his fault for the pass, Bobby, which gave him the ball back. Yeah, he'd given it away really cheaply, having asked his teammates just to show a bit of calm a moment before. He was then rash with the clearance downfield and put it straight into Spain possession. We're going to have a free kick here now for Spain deep inside their own half as Immobile has run into Aymeric Laporte. And it pans back the camera as we bring you independent off-tube studio commentary to Gianluigi Donnarumma, apologising to his teammates still. But he did get them out of trouble with a fine save. The firm number one for Italy nowadays, with Gianluigi Buffon, the long-term number one. The man that is the long-term future, you feel, between the sticks for Italy. Turning up well there, using his big frame to get down and deny Oyarzabal. He's got the ball back at his feet now, Donnarumma. He's just assessing his options. The left-hand side, he's got Chiellini, and he likes to go right through the middle, and again is giving it away on the halfway line. Spain can move it into the feet of Olmo, tries to skip past a challenge. He goes down, the ball scrambles through to Donnarumma. And RB Leipzig's Olmo a couple of times now has complained to the referee. Did look a clumsy challenge. I could see on another day it would go in the direction of the attacker.
Yeah, I actually think that was something to have another second look at. I thought it was a little bit clumsy, to be honest, and I'm sure replays will get a couple of angles at it to have another look. But yeah, I don't think you could have moaned too much from an Italian defensive point of view if that had been given the other way.
This is the 7th meeting between these two sides at a European Championships. Spain have only managed to win once inside 90 minutes in those 7 previous meetings. It's looking good for them so far. No goals to show. It is Italy 0, Spain 0, but Larajo certainly the side that appear to be on top so far in this game. They've just won another free kick as Ferran Torres managed to keep the ball in play. Then he was trying to get away from the attentions of Giovanni Di Lorenzo, who had a couple of nibbles at the Manchester City man before eventually bringing him tumbling down to the Wembley surface. And Spain have taken the free kick and gone all the way back to their goalkeeper Unai Simon. Speaking of mistakes made at the other end by Donnarumma, Simon has been no stranger to them himself in this competition, most notably the howler of an own goal he conceded against Croatia in that dramatic last 16 tie. And Spain were forced to extra time before coming through 5-3. His clearance downfield has gone all the way through to Donnarumma in all yellow this evening. Now the skipper Chiellini, head up, looking for a pass out wide, and he has managed to find a teammate in the shape of Chiesa. Back to Di Lorenzo, clips one over the top looking for the midfielder Barea, but it's just gone beyond him and will go all the way through to Simon. And they just look as though they're forcing it a little bit too much. It was actually Immobile rather than Barea they were seeking out there, but they're looking for these long balls downfield as if almost already Italy don't believe they've got the ability to play through Spain. Yeah,
2 things I've just noted down, Bobby, on a piece of paper was to discuss with you was I think Olmo's been brilliant, by the way, so far in that false 9 role, movement-wise. He's doing the exact opposite to what the Italian players are doing, dropping short, linking play. And then the next thought I was going to say was I think Spain's defence have been great because they're pushing Italy forward. And then when these long balls that are desperate, as you say, are coming forward, they're 15 yards further back from where they'd like to be. And I think, tactically, this is where I love the game because you get so many players at a high level and 2 fantastic coaches that know exactly what they're doing, and it's a case of can these players with the pressure, with the intensity, keep up the concentration levels, because as the game wears on they are going to make subs. There's a one being lined up here, I think is Berardi, which I'm disappointed about, as I took him out of my dream team because he was dropped, and yet here he comes, which suggests to me either they're not happy in this game or is Chiesa struggling with an injury.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that. The camera immediately focuses in on Chiesa, and he seems to be moving okay. They're shuffling across as there's a throw to be taken by Spain just in front of him. It's Alba who takes that throw, headed out by Di Lorenzo. Comes back into Spanish possession, but then Chiesa is there to win it, looking to work a 1-2 with Jorginho. Chiesa then does what he's done on several occasions, knocks it out of his feet and can't sprint fast enough to get there ahead of a defender, and you just wonder if that's maybe one of the reasons why Mancini is considering a change. It's right in front of the manager as well, which doesn't help. The fact that he's playing on that flank and he keeps losing possession in front of his boss. But certainly that sprint forward suggests that there is no injury that he's carrying. There's going to be a free kick here, by the way, to Italy.
My point was going to be, is it a defensive issue they've got with him, though? Because I think a lot of joy they've had has come from Olmo when he peels out there, or Ferran Torres. But I actually thought that first touch was okay, because you saw the raw power and the pace he's got, and you thought, here we go, that's what he's going to bring to the team. That'll be a nightmare. But it's all, well, as you say, it's all great, and it's all fancy. But at the end of the day, if the second touch is then giving the ball away, it means nothing how fast you are. And I do wonder if perhaps did they regret that option, because could they have brought Chiesa on when the Spanish players were tired? I'm not sure, but I think it'd be a bit of a shame. But at the end of the day, you're in the semi-final. If they think there's a tactical weakness and he doesn't make that change, you regret it for a long time if they don't go on and win the game.
Yeah, goals have been well spread out in this Spanish side over the course of the competition. Chiesa is a player who has found the back of the net alongside Barella. Both of those have scored on one occasion. You've got Immobile, Insigne and Locatelli, who have all got 2 goals to their name, alongside Pessina as well. So more so than any other team in the competition, that there's been a fair bit of balance and work rate from players all across the team. But it's Spain coming forward now. Olmo's going to shoot from range, and that one will prove to be a mistake, because he had 3 in support there. Italy were backing off. Olmo decided his best route to goal was to take it on himself, and he gets it horribly wrong.
I've got no idea what he's doing. The man over on the right-hand side of him is in a great position to just play the ball into his path. He's then got Chiellini on the stretch, and he's got a teammate on the inside. Probably the first thing he's done wrong tonight, Dani Olmo. He's been, as I said earlier, I've cursed him because he's been very, very effective so far. And then he goes and does that, which... That's what I mean about Spain's. It's all great that Spain have had this possession. They've looked really flashy. They've looked really fearsome at times. The scoreline's still 0-0 as Spain, for the first time in a while, look a little vulnerable from an Italian long ball downfield. Yeah,
that was much better from Donnarumma, who was seeking out the run of Immobile, and in the end, Aymeric Laporte just managed to hook that ball away ahead of the Italy striker. But it is a throw for the Azzurri on the edge of the Spanish box, or level with the edge of the box. They now look to hook it in again. Laporte has to stretch and fine touch, left-footed. Switching allegiance, of course, to Spain just pre-tournament. Having been snubbed continuously by France, he decided that he did want to play international football, and looks as though it was the right decision now, with France out of the Euros and Spain at this last 4 stage and firmly in the hunt for a place in Sunday's final, back at Wembley once again, the way that they've got going in this game. But Italy just showing signs maybe that they're coming back into it, as Immobile finds Insigne in the box, was forced deep there to the byline. Then as he looks to swivel, it will go out and behind for the goal kick, as Pilaqueta for a moment looked as though he was struggling, but again, it's that experience, isn't it, that comes into play, and he manages to recover well.
Yeah, it's a good ball, that, though. It's got me a little bit excited. I thought we were going to get a decent chance there for Italy, but not to be. But still, something to work on, and a little bit better. And I think if Italy can get to half-time at 0-0, they've done quite well, considering some of the pressure they've been under, and Mancini can get his word across as Italy win the ball back out of the pitch again. This is a bit better.
I do wonder if we're going to see that Italy change before the break. We've got just over 10 minutes left to go, and yet to be made. Did definitely see Berardi going out to warm up, and a feeling that it is going to be Chiesa, the one to be sacrificed. A reminder as well that they are allowed 5 substitutions in the Euros, as opposed to the 3 that we've had in competitions previously. So just give managers, I suppose, a bit more room to manoeuvre and shuffle things about tactically than they would be used to.
soon.